Hello and welcome to the HealthCast 305 podcast. This is Miami's #1 source for all things health related in the region. And today is our first episode, obviously. My name is Dr. Rob Polzak. I'm a physical therapist in this region. And today my guest here today is one of my former classmates, and her name is Michele Tsiknakis. And first thing I want to do is just have you explain to the listeners a little bit about what you do, what it is that you partake in the Miami region here, how you help people get healthy, where you come from in your background. Start with your background, actually. It's a lot of questions at once.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be on your podcast. It's awesome. I'm so excited to get everybody that's health related in Miami together. So it's really cool to be here. Thanks for having me. My background, physical therapy wise, I went to UM for undergrad and grad school. I did my Pilates training while I was in physical therapy school, and started teaching Pilates while I was in school. So before I started having real PT patients, I taught Pilates, which I think helped me a lot to figure out, how to work with people. And then I've been working for, same as you, a few years now in Miami. I did a residency for neurological conditions, and I just found out that I got my specialty.
Ooh,
so that's good.
Congrats.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew that was a good friend. I knew that anyway, but yeah, that's hard. I mean, don't just gloss over that. That took a lot of training, right?
It was a really scary exam, and it was 2 full years of my life, but I was sure that I didn't pass. And then I didn't even read the scores. It said pass, and I was what?
75.1%. Yeah. It's one of those things that when you take the test, you swear you failed. That's the same thing with the NPT.
I swore. Yeah.
PT exam.
Yeah. But it's validating, and it's kind of such a relief. It's okay, all that work was worth something,
And it's more than just some letters next to your name. I mean, I don't know if people listening know, but getting a residency and passing the exam afterward is so hard. I'd say it's probably harder than all 3 years of PT school, because it's everything you learn in PT school plus the residency. So that's crazy.
I would say that a residency is taking PT school, which is 3 years, and smushing it into 1 extra year. All 3 years, 3 more years of learning in 1 year. So it is not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, 18-hour day things.
But yeah, I'm really happy I did it. I feel I learned so much. I feel it just made me more confident when it comes to working with patients. Every single patient is different, and you get these experiences and you get to talk about it with a mentor. I think that's super helpful, just being able to bounce ideas off somebody with way more experience than you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you don't always get that in school. A lot of it's just on your own. So when you have someone like a mentor that's a beast at it, then that could really put you on the top. So you went to yoga with me. Tell me a little bit about why you got into Pilates specifically. So today's episode is going to be kind of themed around the whole Pilates thing, which is Michele's expertise as well. She's multiple expertises. She's a woman of many hats, and Pilates is one. I've actually worked with Pilates with some other members of the class too, and with you. I didn't make today's class because I always have patients at the worst times, but the most relaxed I've ever been was last month when we did the I'm not sure if you call it the corpse pose, but at the end when I was laying there, and it was so relaxing, and I just didn't want it to end. And I was oh, that's all I needed. It was just someone to do Pilates with me, and I could shed some of my anxiety. So tell me a little bit about why you got into Pilates in the first place.
Well, I went into physical therapy school having come from living in another country for 3 years, and I like wasn't doing like exercise or movement based stuff. I was in the Peace Corps in Guatemala. So I came from that, and I felt like a lot of other people like came straight from undergrad and also were like an ATC or like athletic trainer or like some other kind of like health movement specialist, like taught, you know, some sort of class, even if it was just a spinning class or something. They had more of that than I did. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to tell people how to move and explain to people how to move. And you get kind of one class of like therapeutic exercise in PT school, and you don't really feel like you know how to teach people how to move. So I've always loved Pilates and yoga, and I kind of like explored it more once I was in school, learning from other physical therapists that were doing their Pilates training too. Fell in love with it just because it's all about body awareness. And there's so many people that walk around the world not knowing how they're moving, like not knowing anything about like what's going on. They might be in pain, but they can't explain it. They don't know what's wrong. They might like stop moving because it hurts, and they might not try to like change their pattern or anything like that. And I think that teaching somebody body awareness is kind of one of the greatest gifts you can give to them. It's having them understand themselves from the inside out. And so I think Pilates, like what Pilates used to be called contrology, and it's controlled movement, right?
Good name for it.
So yeah, so it's all about, you know, whole body integration and breathing and using your breath to facilitate your movement and creating a basis for functional movement. So it gives you like proximal control so that you can move well in your extremities. And it integrates the whole body. It's not going to say like, okay, now we're going to exclusively work your shoulder, you know, like it's the whole body. You can cue everything when you're working on shoulder mobility. And so once I figured out that it wasn't just like an exercise, it's not like, oh, this is a Pilates exercise and this is a yoga exercise and this is a HIIT exercise, you know, like it's a kind of like a philosophy and a movement system and a way to teach your patient or your client how they are in space and how they can move. That's when I was like, okay, this is where I'm going with this. And so, yeah, now I do Pilates with everyone. I literally do Pilates. It's not like they know they're doing Pilates.
Yeah.
I'm not calling it Pilates, but the principles are always there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I first like tried Pilates and heard of it, it looked simple from the outside. Kind of what some people might say about yoga, although I think yoga looks very difficult. But with Pilates, like I can do this. This is gonna be easy. But it's one of those things that you start the movement and then within like 3 or 4 reps, it's very tiring. You feel like you're out of alignment, out of place, and you're uncomfortable, but in a good way, in a way that makes you grow. So it makes sense that it was called contrology, right? That really lines up with what it is. And considering you have a neuro background too, now that you have a neuro background, I'm sure you can use this with your patients as well, with your neuro in like the hospital setting.
Absolutely. I mean, any kind of neurodiagnosis needs to relearn their body awareness. Like if you think of a spinal cord injury, like they have lost their sensation proprioception often below the level of their lesion. And so they have to learn their proprioception or their position in space with what they can sense. And so like it might be just little precision movements that you have to teach them. And I mean, a therapist that isn't Pilates trained might be doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, but in my head, I'm thinking, oh, like I'm going to use this little thing that I learned in Pilates to apply it to this patient.
Yeah, it really brings it together. Honestly, when we were doing it the other day, I definitely saw some of those concepts coming out, and honestly, I wish I had some more of those skills too. Because I remember when I first went to the Pilates class at during school, we went to the
Right.
Polestar one. Um,
Uh-huh.
it was I've heard that they've had courses where like you don't even touch them when you're learning, right? Like it all has to be verbal cues, which is crazy if you
Yeah.
think about it. For a PT, like for me, it's hard sometimes when you get frustrated, you just want to grab the patient and put them in the position. But
Right.
yeah, but with Pilates, it's all about
100%.
the wording and the cueing, and your guys' cues are so clever. They're like, I don't know if you learn the cues separately or if you just come up with them on your own, but they're like
They
so
teach you
clever
a
and
lot,
unique.
and then you kind of like go developing them on your own. Like you say something, do you ever get this where you say something to a patient and they're doing the exact opposite or like absolutely nothing that you want them to do? And then you try to like say it a different way, and then you try a third way, and maybe on the fourth try they get it. So it's just a lot of that repetition of like, let me figure out how to get this person to do exactly what I'm asking for and like get the muscle activation that I'm asking for, and in a way that they're going to understand. So like, I mean, you can use silly little things. Today in my class, I was like, imagine like people were laying on their stomach and I wanted them to engage their core, because when you're laying on your stomach, you usually are like flaccid. You're just hanging out. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to engage your core, but it's really helpful if you do for a lot of exercises. So I told them to imagine like there's a marble in your belly button and you're lifting the marble up off the mat. And
Oh,
so I don't know,
you thought of that
maybe
yourself?
some, I like have thought of many myself. I don't know if I got that from someone, but now I'm using it a lot. So
Yeah, right. I would use it
I
too.
give
That's
credit to
creative.
whoever I got it from, or if I came up with that on my own, like good for me. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, like you have to figure out how to make the patient or the client do what's good for them and in a way that they understand, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I mean, I'm still there's always like that big debate. How do you get your patients to contract their transverse abdominis, right? That's like the biggest, and that's like the deepest core muscle people talk about typically, core muscle. That's a whole other talk. But there's all these different
Connected
ways you
to your
say
pelvic
it.
floor.
Yeah, right. And then you got
Yeah.
to activate all those things at once. Like you're saying, it's not all about isolation. You want to work these muscles in together, right? You want to have them work as a
Coordination,
unit.
right? Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just try to isolate something, right? I could isolate something by having someone lift their shoulder up against my hand. But if you want to get the whole system going as a unit, like that encapsulates all these like courses that people talk about, you know, FMS and I don't even know, any kind of 3-letter combination. All these things
Yeah.
are basically based off of taking it from the isolation to the compound movements and making it functional. So having those good cues would be amazing. I mean, that's something that you learn over time as a PT, but I noticed it with Pilates in particular. Even with Pilates teachers that aren't trained, like they don't have like a PT background. I'm honestly pretty jealous about what they know in terms of their cueing. So like I can imagine being a PT and a Pilates teacher, you must have a good combo on that. And I know that you do because I know you. I'm just pretending I'm interviewing for the first time, but I've worked with you. Um, so explain some of the benefits of Pilates, like to the average. Let's say like someone has no idea what Pilates is. They walk in to your virtual studio at this point.
um,
What do you tell them? Because I know it's kind of it's its own thing. So how would you go about that to the layman?
well, I just think that Pilates, like I said, is going to get your full body integrated into movement. And it's going to teach you how to move smart or smartly. I don't know what you're supposed to say.
Smartly.
But it's going to teach you to move purposefully, right? And so I always tell people that Pilates is an excellent complement to whatever they love doing. Like, say there's a runner that is like getting a little achy pain, something like that. Like, I think Pilates is the perfect thing to complement their running, to give them more stability and give them more control so that they run better. Like a tennis player would do, like Pilates is great for them because you just need, I mean, it's often giving you more body awareness, more position sense of your joints, and making you stronger in your smaller muscles that sometimes get neglected when we're doing like big, powerful movements, right? So I also think Pilates is an excellent kind of like transition for people. Like maybe they've been, you know, doing HIIT workouts or high intensity things for a while, and they're not feeling super good, or they're feeling too tight, or they're feeling overworked. I think Pilates, you leave a Pilates class and my goal is to make you feel delicious. Like that's what I feel. And when I take my favorite teachers, I always like leave there like floaty a little bit and like feeling
that's what you did
good,
to me.
you know, like feeling strong, feeling like my body did something purposeful. And I mean, you're not going to say that it's the same as doing like a berries or whatever, you know, it's not. And that's not its purpose. Its purpose is to like make you move well, make you breathe, make you work the smaller muscles that we're ignoring in our daily life. And you know, I think Pilates can be great, honestly, for anyone. For somebody that's 75 and needs to keep moving and wants to move well throughout their aging process, it's excellent for them. Somebody that just had a stroke, you know, maybe their one side is a little bit weaker than their other side. You know, Pilates is excellent for them because, you know, you can work on understanding where your body is in space now and figuring out how to balance it. So Pilates is really for anyone, and I would never turn somebody away from Pilates. I would turn them away from group classes, and I would say we need to start with privates, and like you need to work your way up to a general group class. But really anyone can do it, and it's not an exclusionary exercise form, you know?
Yeah, the group Pilates seems like definitely something that you'd want to do after you've mastered some stuff, because it doesn't seem like it's tough to have, because the amount of cueing you need and specific work, I think definitely helps to have some one-on-one or small group, right? Because, you know, like with anything, like with PT or group fitness classes, what happens is you start off with this one-on-one thing, and then it gets to small group, and then eventually people want to make more profits, so then they get like 5 at a time, 20 at a time, 5 at a time for PT, and 20 at a time for like a yoga class or a Pilates class. And
right. Well, like even, for example, sometimes people are injured and their goal is to get back to whatever they like doing, right? So maybe they like going to like a berries class where there's like 40 people in it, right? I think they need some one-on-one time to make the step process to get to a group class. With kind of any injury, it's impossible for a teacher of a group class, which I teach group classes too, and it's impossible for them to give like the designated attention to somebody with like an acute injury or you know, something really going on in their body that you want to give them. Like you're like, oh, you have this, or you're dealing with this, like this would be so great for you. And you're trying to like be over there helping that person as much as you can. And like sometimes it's fine, but really I think a lot of times people need to step back, like get some one-on-one time, figure out how they're moving, and then go to their group class.
yeah, that's definitely a good sentiment. I think that because you're a PT, you definitely have a keen eye on that, like granular stuff, because just like with anyone, I mean, with like a random personal trainer or someone that you might not know, sometimes you might miss some of those key components for people that are just coming off injury. So it makes sense that you would care about that. So That's a good thing. Now, you were talking a little bit about this earlier, and we have some ideas of what you like treating based on what came to your mind out of nowhere. But what are some of your favorite types of patients to work with in your practice?
I love all my patients,
Of
obviously.
course.
Um,
It's hard to pick a favorite.
I know, but so I not recently, I have loved working with patients with pregnancy that are pregnant, pre or postpartum. I think that is super fun because, like there's changes happening every time you see them. They're different every
Yeah.
time you see them. And like, um, I'm going to touch on the same reasoning later, but sometimes it's a population that's like, what can I do? They're scared. They don't know if like they can move still or like if they can exercise, and like calming your patients down and like doing things that are going to make them feel good and make their body feel better. I love that. I even work with like I've had a dad or someone that's gonna be a dad soon, and they have such an imminent goal. Like their goal is right there. They're like, I want to play on the ground with my kids. I need to be able to
Yeah.
do this. So help me. And I think that that's fun because like they're so excited and there's like a project. So I really love that population. I find just with Pilates that back pain for some people is like very challenging because often it's chronic and it's not super acute. And I feel like I don't make promises when it comes to people with back pain. I like about their pain. I tell them that I'm going to help them move better and move better within their pain. And oftentimes that leads to a pain reduction, but when it comes to however long people have been dealing with their back pain, I want them to think of Pilates as a resource and something to make their whole experience walking around in their life better and help them get from where they are in their back pain experience to another place.
Yeah, definitely.
So I like working with patients that have back pain because I think it's very personal. I think everyone is different. I think there's a lot that's not just the pain. I think there's a lot of other components like that you can use that's not just physical therapy, that's not just Pilates, to really help somebody with back pain. So I love working with that population. And then on the neuro side, I like the acute diagnoses. So somebody that's recently had a stroke is often very interesting and fun because they make so much progress, right? They had their incident and they're only going up from here, So a recent stroke, people with brain injuries like a concussion or TBI, traumatic brain injuries, I think those populations are super interesting because, no patient is the same. I've never seen two of the same patients, but I think that there's so many components to somebody with a concussion or a TBI. They could have a vestibular issue, which is a puzzle in itself,
Yeah.
So yeah, I like working with a
Yeah.
lot of diagnoses,
Sounds like you do. You have a lot of favorite
but
patients, which is good.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the interesting thing about well, first of all, it sounds like you definitely like dealing with families and people that are about to have families, right? So you said mothers and
Yeah.
fathers, future mothers and future fathers, and that's one of the biggest thing I see across the board with a lot of PTs is that we like to help people who, like they just want to get to doing something that's external, but it's like showing love to their kids. Like that's huge, right? Some grandparents
Huge.
can't even pick up their little grandkids, and sometimes they just accept that fact, but it shouldn't be something that people have to accept. So,
Yeah,
it's awesome
at
that you
all.
like doing that. So,
Yeah,
and
I think part of PT when it comes to I don't know how much you do family training, but when I'm at the hospital, I'm doing family training all the time. And that's the best part, you know? You like get your patient back with their family member
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, they're so excited. They're like figuring out how to help their mom or grandmom or like sister or whatever, you know? And it's fun to see them like, this is the last step before we get to go home, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty cute. They're always like being tough love too. They're like, okay, what does he need? How do I take care of his need? You know that they love to know this stuff and they want to help. But yeah, you're just trying to give them the send off, the proper send off, you know.
Oh
So
yeah, and
definitely.
I'm all about telling the family members, I'm like, don't help. Let the patients do as much
Yeah.
as they possibly can on their own, and you're just there in case, you know. But a lot of times people will be like, oh my gosh, you need a glass of water? Let me go get it for you. Stay, sit over there. Like, don't move, you know? And you're like, no, they need to move. They need to get back to their life. They're busy. They have stuff to do. Like, let them do their life. And we just teach them how to do it better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing
Do
with
it
PT.
safely.
Yeah, people they think PT is all about, helping people, which it is all about helping people, but it's not in the way that people always think, which is like just enabling everyone, like you want to be able to send your patient off, which means that you got to be kind of harsh with them at some point. Be like, well, I'm not going to help you stand up because I want to see if you can do it. I want to see how you do it. And then, so
Exactly.
it seems mean, but it's like, no, that's how you get people better is you make them do their own thing. So definitely the way you frame it, you gotta frame it nicely. You just don't want to like be harsh about it, but that's why we do what we do. So tell me a little bit about your personal wellness practice itself, and how do you practice what you preach inside of that?
Well, I definitely practice what I preach. Like, I try to move every single day, and my movement doesn't need to be, you know, taking a class or like lifting weights, but it's going to be something, it can be that I went for a long walk, but
Hmm.
I'm moving every single day. I don't like doing the same thing every day because my body gets bored. If I run every day, it doesn't feel good for me. So all of my days are different. I run a little bit. I like going to Barry's workouts and doing like HIIT workouts. I like the feeling of lifting weights. Like I like to feel strong. I do Pilates at least twice a week. Um, Sometimes I wake up and my body's craving a yoga, and I have my like go-to yoga teachers that, my body needs this today, so I'm gonna go to this teacher. I mean now,
Variability. That seems
yes,
like the thing. Yeah, all about that.
variability. You want to change it up. If your if your body does the same thing every day, great, it's going to be good at that same thing, or maybe it's going to break down, and you got to change it up. So I mean, this time of year in the summer, I'm usually transitioning from running being my cardio to swimming being my cardio. But I mean, coronavirus, pools, the beach.
Yeah. You. Yeah, the beach doesn't exist right now. Nothing exists right now as of tomorrow. So we got to figure that one out. Is that affecting? I mean, you're at the hospital, right? So I mean, well, you're
Yeah,
at
I
a
mean,
hospital.
it affected me a lot. I wasn't really working at the hospital because they didn't call me in for like 2 months. But now I am coronavirus trained, so I work directly with the people with coronavirus.
Whoa.
Um, so now they need me all the time. And so I'm doing that. It's affected me in like my private practice, which is called Pilatherapy, Pilates-based physical
Yeah,
therapy.
barely name drops. You're so patient with that. Yeah, Pilatherapy.
Um,
It's got an awesome
yeah.
logo. It's got an amazing logo. One of the best.
Um, but well, Pilatherapy, people have been loving doing the online thing, and it's so fun for me. Like I love, first of all, the best thing in the world is seeing people like puppy walking across the screen or like
Yeah.
or something in the
I
background,
have some. Yeah.
which is super cute. But people are in their own environment which means like they're moving in their own space. They feel comfortable. They feel a little bit more confident. And I think there's a ton that you can do, virtually. And I was skeptical of it at first, but then I was like, well, what are we going to do? I can't go to your house right now. Like, we can't do that right now.
Yeah.
So I started it, and like me and my patients really started to love it. And I think that there's a ton you can do. People don't need equipment. Like I have my mat on the floor. I'll have people grab a pillow or like a water bottle, or, like if they have a belt or something, if they need a strap, like anything, you can figure out how to use your house for your wellness studio.
Yeah, I saw Jimmy, our friend Jimmy, another physical therapist. He was using like the tops to like the moving containers for sliders.
Oh yeah, that was so smart.
Yeah, you got to be smart. And you offered some good suggestions. Yeah, right. That's a Jimmy thought. There's definitely some good suggestions that you came up with when I was doing it with you, for tools you could use. And you got to be resourceful nowadays. It is apocalyptic out there, and pretty soon we might have to start doing what they do in the movies, and start manufacturing things on our own and using them for self-defense, or who knows. So this is a good start. Honestly, Pilates might be, today I'm using the tops to a container, and tomorrow I'm sharpening the edges for some kind of hunting material. Who knows? But so tell us about the classes themselves and how they're set up. I think we have an idea, but
yeah, I mean, I like literally started doing. I have a group class on Zoom Monday and Friday at 5:30, and it was just because my book club was like, hey, should we like do something together virtually, because we missed each other and we hadn't like gotten together. And so I did like 2 classes just for them, and then I kind of like started being like, hey, come to this Pilates class, and like come to this Pilates class just to my friends, And then I started posting about it, and like a couple other people came, and it's just fun. It's like a way for you to move together, like, I don't know about you, but I live by myself. I don't have furry babies. I don't have real babies. I have my plant babies.
You take care of them.
All over the place. I love them. But like, what are you going to do during quarantine when you really can't socialize or hang out with people? So it kind of feels like you're seeing people at the gym, because I would always go to a class and like meet my friend there, talk for a couple of minutes before, talk for a couple of minutes after, and like in this Zoom class, everybody kind of like hangs out for a couple of minutes after and like catches up, and it's fulfilling like that, So, I mean, that's one part of it, but then it's also really fun. Like I have a couple of regulars, and sometimes random people will show up, and I'm so excited to see them. And I always ask the class what they're looking for that day. Like on a Friday, they might have had a heavy week, and they're just like, I need to like lengthen, I need to stretch out.
Yeah.
Sometimes today they asked me to sacar el jugo. And that means to like get the juice out, like make it really hard. So
sacar el jugo with all of them.
Sacar el jugo.
Sacar el jugo. I should know this by now.
Jugo. Juice.
Oh, cool. Oh, okay. I was gonna say culo.
Jugo. I'll write it to you.
That's butt. Okay, so you got the juices out of them. Good. Yeah, I mean, I could see people wanting that on a Friday for sure. But today they wanted it.
Today they wanted it. I mean, a Monday, you need to like wake up your body from quarantine over the weekend. I don't know what people are doing.
Yeah, it's like their apocalyptic party. Who knows? They might have been doing some crazy stuff. They needed to get the juices out. So I'm glad that. Well, I mean, yeah, I can vouch for the listeners. I've been to her classes, and I love them. I should make it. I should just block out that schedule. I shouldn't even be treating patients during those times. I should be just
Rob,
going.
where you been?
I know, I've been totally unreliable. I'm like a classic patient giving excuses right now for something that's great for them. But I liked the classes that I went to. And you know, I plan to do it again in the future because it's definitely something that just that relaxing part at the end that really got to me. That really got the juices. I think that's getting the juices out, right? Getting the juices out is inferring that it's relaxing the person. So that was getting my juices out, right? Or is that?
Well, okay. So getting the juices stuck. I know that rule is like making it super hard and getting them sweaty. You know,
Oh, that kind of
like
okay.
right. Okay, but then what you're talking about is like the end, the peaceful, the relaxation, the meditation. This is something else that I was going to mention. I I think that like clearing people's headspace is
Yeah.
super important, right? So kind of like centering them before the class, putting an intention to the class. Maybe it might be like thinking of something that you're grateful for, dedicating the class to something or someone. And kind of like focusing your attention on like, this is my hour, this is my movement, like this is for me, for each one of the clients, like the people in the class. It's their time. Like a lot of people have, I mean, I am guilty of it myself, like have my head running all the time. There's
Yeah.
always a list of things to do. There's always something that, oh, don't forget to do this, you know, like there's always something going on in your head and a conversation that you're having with yourself that really needs to be silenced sometimes. And so I have a personal meditation practice that I try to meditate most days. And I think that it's helpful to focus people on their breath and try and bring their attention to what their body is doing. And then hopefully some of those thoughts, like that thought bubble of like all your worries, right? They can like have it over here and maybe they can like push it away for just a little bit, you know? So I think that that's helpful. And that's probably what you're talking about when it comes to like
Yeah,
feeling
I'm
peaceful
getting the
after.
mental juices out. See, I've used that thought bubble to me is the juice, right? It's hanging over me, so you push that away. And that's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, with a business and driving to everyone's houses and you're constantly
Hard.
checking your phone, it's like it's like stress that's always there hanging over you. And with coronavirus and all the other stuff going on, it just feels like there's this like sense of dread that just like hangs over us all the time lately. So definitely good to do
Yeah.
some Pilates in these moments, I feel like.
Yeah, to do some Pilates or, I mean, like finding whatever other spiritual practice that people have. Like, I like meditation, but people have a ton of things. And like, I'm the type of physical therapist that I'm not going to be like, oh, this exercise is going to make you 100% better. No, like, I think that physical therapy and Pilates and whatever we're going to do together is definitely going to help you. But then I ask people about their sleeping habits and I ask people about their eating habits and I ask people about like their meditation practice if they have one, you know, because I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a combination of things to get you overall better, you know, and get you overall feeling well. Because like maybe it's just your shoulder that's bothering you, but like let's attend to your shoulder and then prevent it from happening in the future and address any other component that might contribute to like another injury or like not fully healing.
Yeah, because it's not just taking care of the issue, you got to take care of the underlying cause of the issue. So it's definitely good that you think like that. And obviously, because you're a PT, it must come second nature at this point. So
Well, it comes as second nature for you too, right?
yeah, but this is all about you. You know, I barely even gonna mention I'm a PT. You know, I have my own thing going on. This is just my
You're
this
the
is my
goal. You're the goal. I'm just like trying to make it there.
oh, I'm the goal, man. You got a good goal going on. You're doing a
We
lot of
have a
you're doing
podcast. Amazing.
yeah, and you basically taught me how to set up this one. So this is the first episode. So you have been instrumental in my podcast career so far. I'd say that you're 100% of the guests and you're 100% of the helpers. So I should include you in the show notes, like a key grip and director and producer and all that
Wait,
too.
yeah, just like
So
rewrite my name a couple of times.
yeah, right. She's so last thing, I want you to tell the listeners and the watchers how they can reach out to you. Like what's the best method to reach out to you to talk about these classes, to maybe even learn something if someone needs help? You know, how do we reach out to you? How do we learn about Michele Tsiknakis and how she can help us?
Tsiknakis.
Damn,
Good try though.
I even paused beforehand. I've only known you like 5-6 years.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks for asking. People can reach out to me in a bunch of different ways. I have a website. It's www.pilatherapymiami.com. And like you can reach out to me that way. I'm on Instagram at pilatherapymiami.com or pilatherapy at pilatherapymiami.
It's consistent. That's good.
Yeah.
And that's
so,
PILA therapy, like Pilates and therapy. So it's really clever. I can't believe that wasn't taken, to be honest.
Well, Pilatherapy was by like somebody's cat. And so
you like want to ask for the Instagram handle back?
I made it Pilatherapy Miami. I messaged them, of course. I tried, but then there was no response. So anyway, Pilatherapy Miami on Instagram and my website. And I mean, I have a business phone number you can put in the show notes if you want. Like, you can text me. But so with the class, like, if you want a taste of what we could do, it's not your physical therapy, you know? So I don't want everybody to think like this is the only thing that Pilatherapy is. Pilatherapy can be whatever the patient needs. But this is just a taste of like, if you want to get to know me in a class, in a group setting. I'm moving with you the whole time. So I'm kind of trying to look at the screen, commenting on a couple of people, cracking some jokes every now and then when people are like tired or like in Savasana when it's not time for that. But yeah, it's a good taste and it's fun, and it's on Zoom, and the link's in my Instagram, and the password is always Michi, MICHI.
Yeah.
So like just come, it's fun.
Yeah, just check it out, people, because it's an amazing class. It definitely is. I mean, it's really not, it's honestly would be better than going to a place at this point because of COVID and because you get to do it from your own house. So it's like,
don't have to wear a mask.
Don't have to wear a mask unless you're weird. And then at like 5:29, I can be like laying in bed, like doing this, and I'll be like, okay, I'll go to class. And then you can just go. You just go in your.
That. You can for real do that. Before class, I'm like, okay, I have 5 minutes. That means I have time to get water, go to the bathroom, like change my whole outfit, and then go turn on Zoom.
Yeah, it's like, we might not have the $5,000 piece of equipment there, but honestly, what I got out of it was amazing. So, so check it out, listeners. That's pilatherapy.com, Pilatherapy Miami.
Pilatherapymiami.com.
Pilatherapymiami.com and at Pilatherapy on Instagram, Miami, at Pilatherapy Miami. Not the cat page. We don't want to look at the cat. Pilatherapy Miami. Always Pilatherapy Miami. So check that out, people. And thank you for listening. This is the conclusion of the first episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. It seemed like Michele enjoyed discussing some stuff. I know this is, it's episode number 1. There's some things that I could probably work on, and this is great. We got my director here and my key grip. So thank you very much, Michele. And have a good one.
Rob, I'm coming back in the future. We have so many conversations to have.
Yeah, you're gonna come back, and maybe what we'll do is we'll throw in earbuds or something. So then you'll have like amazing audio quality, and then hopefully this stuff transfers over. We got to see how that works. I'm not gonna cross my fingers. Maybe we just had a private conversation for an hour that it will just be ours forever, because I don't know if it works, but we'll see. But thank you very much, and look online at HealthCast 305 on the Instagram. It's gonna be HealthCast 305. I'll put some video.
HealthCast 305.
Also, Dr. Rob.
I'm gonna put it everywhere
on Instagram. Yeah, everywhere. Just post it up.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Rob, what's your Instagram again?
Dr. Rob Polizek. That's it. DRROB POLIS. Z as in zebra UK. So it's a tough one.
And Rob, what's your website again?
drrobpolizek.com, drrobpolisz as in zebra, UK.com. Or you could do bricklephysicaltherapy.com. I got that one. I'm very proud of that website. Yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
Good.
I
That
couldn't believe it
sounds
was available.
good.
So from now on, if anyone wants it, they're SOL. Yeah, and then physiologicspt.com. There's a bunch of
That's
things out there.
awesome.
All righty.
Yeah, I downloaded your back pain ebook, which is amazing.
Oh, you did?
So
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody like wants just like a taste of you, I feel like that's such a helpful resource. So get on your website, and I think it's a downloadable PDF, right?
It is downloadable. I have to work with the link a little bit because I switched email servers, but if anyone wants it, they can just ask and I will make it happen because that's a good call. You're making me realize how I should end the show with certain statements. So this is good. Push myself forward and but it's all about you today. So thank you very much. And
thanks for having me, Rob.
Yeah, look for Michelle in the future. Pilatherapy Miami. Check it out. It's an amazing service, and it's easy. That's the big thing. You could be sleeping and then get up and go whenever you want the Pilates action. Okay, people. All right. Thank you very much, and have a good one.